to call our June work session to order. And if I can ask Ms. Anaya to read the open statement, please.
On Wednesday, February 24th, 2021, notice of this meeting was mailed. Sorry, 1 second. Notice of this meeting was mailed to the press and the Current of Egg Harbor Township. Notice was also delivered that day to the Egg Harbor Township clerk and posted on the bulletin board in Township Hall. Advertised instructions for this hybrid meeting were posted on our website and social media on Friday, June 18th, 2021.
Thank you. May we have roll call?
Ms. Alabarda? Here. Mrs. Bird is absent. Mr. Delabarca?
Here.
Mr. Ireland?
Here.
Mr. Price?
Here.
Mrs. Sullivan? Here. Mrs. Salagi? Here. Mrs. Gilbert-Floyd? Here. And Mr. Castellano?
Here. Okay. Can we all please stand and salute the flag? Oh, welcome. Are these mics going in and out?
Test.
Test. We okay? Good. All right, we're good. So again, welcome to our June work meeting, and it's just astounding how it is. Test. Good to go? Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to start over. Welcome you all to our June work session meeting. And I was just beginning to say what a difference a school year makes, what an enormous difference there is from when we started this school year to how things are right now all around. You can obviously see it in the day-to-day operations of the district, and you can see it right here with the board. And we had some very nice end-of-year activities for our students, of course, culminating in graduation this past week, which was just fantastic. And now we're very busy at work preparing not only for next school year, but for our summer programming. So with that, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Dr. Gruccio for our superintendent's report. Some other items.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our in-person work session with no masks. We're happy to be here, happy to see you. I'll just touch briefly on the end of the school year because I'll cover that next week in our business meeting, but we had a successful school closing. We had some nice cool days filled with lots of culminating activities and excitement. Our graduation ceremony was outstanding, as I always refer to it as the most distinguished commencement exercise in the state of New Jersey. So very proud of our students. Congratulations to the class of 2021 and to their parents. The COVID-19 update, as Mr. Castellano said, we are continuing to follow the NJDOE's guidelines for COVID-19, and that involves mask wearing, social distancing, and hand sanitizing for educational gatherings within the school. So our teachers and students and staff were masked and following those guidelines. But outside gatherings and other gatherings such as this have different requirements. So tonight you're also going to hear a presentation on the Safe Return to School Plan, which speaks to some of these items and guidance and guidelines from the Department of Education. So we'll move right into that, all right? Who is presenting? Yeah. Just while Mr. Santilli is bringing up the presentation, we are still contact tracing. We are still reporting COVID cases, not as many as we've had. We had a few today. And it's very important that that is occurring. Ms. Semmett is on top of that, working with our nurses because our athletic teams are in, beginning their practices for the fall. We have summer camps on campus, and then our summer programming will begin after the 4th of July. So it's very important that we know what is going on in terms of anyone who has COVID-19. Okay. All right, so go back to, there we go. Here's our safe return to in-person instruction. As part of the American Rescue Plan, which will be referred to as ARP, our district is eligible to receive $9.5 million to help sustain the safe operations of schools and to address the impact that COVID-19 pandemic had on our students. In order to receive this funding, I must submit a safe return plan to the New Jersey Department of Education with specific criteria. That specific criteria was outlined for us. We are guided to follow that framework. And so the information that will be presented to you by the central office this evening represents the required categories that must be addressed, explained, presented, and approved. Okay, we'll take you through it. All right, so the Department of Education provided us with this information the end of May, if you will, with the due date of June 24th. So a lot of work had to be done to read their criteria, look at their framework. We have a need for public comment. We and every school district in New Jersey has the need for public comment and board approval. So what we've done is we used our school pandemic teams. Those teams met the week of June 7th. They were very large teams. They involved teachers, parents, administrators, and staff. And they went through the safety plan, and they received comments, and we'll share them with you this evening. The board will be reviewing this presentation and will be voting on for the submission to the Department of Ed. This plan has to be reviewed at least every 60 days because things change. Okay, guidance changes, and that depends on what the COVID-19 virus is doing in each and every community. So submission date will be June 24th, and that's why it's important that we have the vote tonight. So this is the timeline we went through from our notification to how long the grant lasts. This grant lasts until September of 2023. We had as I said, we had our pandemic team meetings. Tonight is the final presentation to the public and to the board. We will post the plan on the website tomorrow and submit our safe reopening plan. The EWA grant submission date is 11/24/2021. All right, so I said this is a team approach. You may ask, out of that $9.5 million, how is that money allocated? What is it spent on? And so we're sharing that, and we'll have our BA who oversees our funding and our money spent explain that to you.
Sure, this is just a one slide because there's more to follow as the actual grant application will be due in November for funding. But a quick recap is 20% is they're saying is to specifically go towards evidence-based interventions and look at disproportionate impact to unrepresented student groups. The other 80% can have one of 12 options. Highlighted in there is hiring new staff, retaining staff to avoid layoffs during this time, and facility upgrades, as well as additional protocols to maintain school safety. So more to follow on that.
All right, moving on to the to the categories. Maintaining health and safety, Mr. Santilli.
So the next few slides will focus on health and safety, and ultimately, if you think about everything we're going to talk about within the really the next few slides in terms of the plan, ultimately think of it as if we were starting school tomorrow, tomorrow being September 1st. As Dr. Gruccio mentioned, much of this could change. However, that is the approach that we've been directed to follow in regards to our safe return. So you can see here that they talk about the universal and correct wearing of masks. Dr. Gruccio opened the meeting stating that during the educational process taking place in our schools, even right now during the summer, based off of CDC guidance and also current executive orders that have still been in effect, mask wearing is still also part of that process and will still be in effect, and our plan reflects that. Physical distancing, that had changed quite a bit during the course of the pandemic. Currently, right now, if you can think of a 3-foot physical distance, that is what we are adhering to again right now, even in our summer programs. That is the best practice, and we'll continue to maintain that. In addition, they do talk about creative use of spaces. So for lunch, for instance, at the high school, how we can spread our students out with still being able to make sure that we feed them at the secondary level moving forward. The other things moving into health and safety for hand washing, ultimately one of the things we would want to continue to do is still to promote this. We do have hand sanitizing stations in all of our schools and all of our hallways and outside of every classroom. That will continue to be maintained, and of course we would enforce that as a best practice moving forward. Of course, signage and things like that as well, continued use. Cleaning, maintaining health facilities. We work very closely with our facilities director to make sure that we have protocols in place to make sure we have those high touch areas that are always being hit up during the course of the day. You know, we had really a team that was their main focus, and again, as part of our plan, we would continue to make sure that we adhere to that. You see here mention about HVAC systems and making sure that they are maintained and are working adequately as we move into and through the summer months and into the fall. In addition, contact tracing, not something that is really ending at this point. Even though school has ended, our summer programs are still continuing, summer camps and the like. We really wanted to have a partnership with our families, so we rely on a health affirmation and having that partnership with our community, making sure that, you know, if you're sending your child into school, for instance, or into a summer program, that you're making sure you go over all those health protocols and, of course, not send your child in if anything exists in terms of symptoms. That will also be something that will continue to be in effect as per our normal protocols and CDC guidance at this time. And then diagnostic and screening testing, that is also part of what I just mentioned in terms of the health affirmation. Our staff are still required to make sure that they sign in, but also go through that health affirmation every single day. And we also ask that the partnership continues with our families. And finally here, efforts to provide vaccinations. We've been doing an outstanding job with that. Prior to, actually once vaccinations became available in this area, we did have outside partnerships. We pride ourselves on our community partnerships, and that will continue, not just with our local pharmacies like CVS or Walgreens or the like, but also especially with AtlantiCare, and we hope to continue to do that. Things have changed also, not just providing that opportunity to our community and also our staff, but originally it was for 16 years older and higher. Then that changed to 12 years old and higher, and we were allowing students to receive that vaccination on certain specific days within our schools, and we want to continue to have those partnerships. And of course, appropriate accommodations for children with disabilities. We do recognize, and part of our initial plan for the road back, made sure that we took those things into effect. Ultimately, when you think about our at-risk students, making sure that we can accommodate their needs, maybe extended mask breaks or having different accommodations in the classroom to be able to support them, but also keeping in mind that we want to keep them and our staff safe. Then we'll move forward.
All right, so talking about the continuity of services, here we're going to continue. As we mentioned, we have a lot of summer programs going on to address learning acceleration, as well as adding a supplemental program to our traditional ESY. We also are going to use assessment data, including the state mandated Start Strong assessment that will be given in the fall, that will help us identify student needs and then allow us to implement multi-tiered systems of support to support our students both academically and behaviorally, and of course with their social and emotional needs being at the forefront of that. So being able to expand on our classroom interventions through the 9 new positions of interventionists, continuing our RTI pull-out programs, and making partnerships with outside organizations that offer mental health counseling and support for students, and continuous social emotional supports with extended school day opportunities as well as mentoring programs.
Okay, part of the criteria is for us to describe how the lead education, the LEA sought public comment on this plan, and how those public comments into the accounting development of its plan. So what we did was, as I explained, we took comment through the convening of our pandemic response team meetings, and that was the week of June 7th. And the teams got together, they got the insight, which I'm going to share, and the feedback. And the second part of the criteria, letter B, is describe how our agency ensured that the plan is an understandable and uniform format. It has to be in written language so that parents can understand, and also be translated in other languages. So the pandemic team meetings were facilitated by building principles. We're going to post on our website, and we're also going to publish in Spanish, and others can have access to Google Translate so they can have access to the plan. And our last slide, sharing with you the comments, suggestions, and feedback under health and safety, public comment. Shared with us to please maintain sanitizing stations, be creative with the use of facilities to allow social distancing for lunch, have safe use of water refilling stations when allowable, and have safe use of the locker rooms. As we all know, the locker rooms have been closed for use. Regarding the continuity of learning, there's a request for supports for classroom teachers and continual push-ins and pull-out services for students. Extended day programs, I want to be clear on that. Connections with the community, have support for students who are all virtual to return to school, have counseling services for students, and have social emotional learning and spaces within the school day to be readily accessible. Okay, so they're the comments that we received for the plan that was shared, and that pretty much ends the presentation. If there's anyone that has any questions or comments to share with us regarding this, you can do that now.
Anyone? Okay. We'll have comments later on as well, so people may have things later.
Okay, well that concludes our presentation. I thank you for your time and attention. We're going to move on to a presentation, item 4.2, which is preschool providers for the 2021-2022 school year. And if you haven't met him already, our supervisor of preschool education, Mr. John Tolan, is going to share some information with you and introduce our guests this evening.
Hello, thank you, Dr. Grigio. Thank you, board. I want to introduce myself again. I'm John Tolan. I'm the new supervisor for early childhood. For the last 6 weeks, I've had the opportunity to work within the program and really work with our team here and the parents to get our program up and going and continue on that strong base that we've already created. So just to recap, for this last year, we had 300 students, which started in February 1st. That's 20 classrooms. We had 14 district classrooms with 210 students housed either here or at Egg Harbor Township High School. And then we had 6 classrooms at Garden State Academy for 90 students. For the 2021-2022 school year, we're expanding to 450 students, which will be 30 classrooms total, an additional 10. We're planning to add 2 at Slayball Primary, 2 at Gateway Head Start, and 6 to a private provider. Within those 450 students that we're anticipating for next year, we have 166 that are returning from this current year. We already accepted 150 from our first round of registration, which started roughly mid-May. And now we are on our second round of registration, which ends on Friday. With registration ending on Friday, we have approximately 15 remaining spots open still. We are doing in-person registration tomorrow at Davenport from 7 to 9 a.m. and then again from 3 to 5 to really help and assist with our families that are having trouble registering at home on their own. With the addition of those 6 private provider classrooms, we created a operational plan guidance for the providers to fill out for us, answering questions, and we scored them on a rubric. They had to determine and had to submit their operational plans on the 7th of June, and we scored them in the areas of experience and expertise, facilities, staff credentials, and safety and security. Upon reviewing their operational plans, we provided them with additional follow-up questions and asked for some clarification on some of their responses. In addition to what they submitted, I also visited all of their sites on 6/11. With that said, and after reviewing and creating these partnerships and these conversations with the providers within the community, we determined that some providers are ready now, some will not be ready until the fall or next year. With that said, we would like to have Garden State Academy come up and present with you guys, who had the highest score right now within the rubric, and we have Ms. Tracy House and Linda Pecchia. Thank you all.
This is a PDF, so you may want to
Scroll with the mouse.
Well, hi, good evening, everybody. I feel like it's weird talking into the mic when you're all right here. My name's Tracy Campbell House. I am a proud alumni of Egg Harbor Township, as well as...
Excuse me, Ms. House, if you don't mind, Mrs. House, excuse me. The microphone is so people at home live streaming can hear, not
I'm sorry.
necessarily for us, that's okay?
Okay.
If you
Just feels
I know.
really weird.
It does. You
Okay.
can take it down too if you need to.
Thank you.
There you go.
This feels much better. Okay. All right, sorry. Hi, everyone. My name's Tracy Campbell House. I am a proud alumni of Egg Harbor Township, as well as founder and co-owner of Garden State Academy.
Hello, everybody. My name is Linda Pecchia, and I'm co-owner at Garden State Academy. There we go.
All right, this evening, can you hear me? Good? All right, this evening we are going to explain Garden State Academy, who we are, and what we represent. We have been in business since 2013, and we are proud to call ourselves a real school for preschool. We worked really hard and diligently to create a professional team over the last 8 years. That team includes master level teachers, certified teachers in preschool to 3rd grade, an intervention team, full-time speech therapists, master special education teachers, developmental intervention therapists, contracting occupation therapists, full-time social worker, security coordinators. We have 2 retired law enforcement officers on our team, professional development team, a creative curriculum specialist, mentor teaching program, a director of finance, human resource department, professional cleaning and facility management, high-tech security systems, and a nurse.
Garden State Academy has been the private provider for the preschool expansion grant in Galloway Township for the past 3 years and can guarantee what we offer goes above and beyond the requirements set forth by the state. As you can see, we have a full-day program, at least 6 hours in length, and we offer before and after care as well for families that need it. Each class has a maximum of 15 students with a P3 certified teacher and a paraprofessional who has 60 credits or more. Garden State Academy utilizes the creative curriculum, and there's a bathroom and sink for each classroom. Our Class A facility has newly renovated classrooms which meet or exceed the requirements of square feet. Our professional development team provides a multitude of trainings throughout the year to help each staff member reach their individual goals. In addition to our ongoing PD, Tracy and I have been master teachers through Stockton University to support teachers and districts in our area who participate in the preschool expansion grant. We offer health benefits along with additional benefit packages for our employees, and we have a management team with strong leadership skills that help support each of our programs.
In addition to the requirements that are necessary for the preschool expansion grant, we have built so many other things along the way. We call that the GSA way. We're proud of our first class facilities. Our facility in Egg Harbor Township right now is a Class A facility. We're proud of our master teachers. We also, in addition to, we have a master Montessori teacher, a Montessori teacher training program, outdoor classrooms, a health and wellness program, yoga and mindfulness, creative curriculum, Spanish curriculum. We have school pictures every fall and spring. We differentiate our instruction to meet the individual needs of all of the students that are in our program. Music Together is woven throughout our programs. You'll hear it in all of the classrooms. Our art program encompasses process art, so it's about the process, not the product. We are proud to offer gardening and composting, a STEAM program in which science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics are at the forefront, extracurricular activities, leadership training to support the GSA vision of raising the bar in early childhood education, field trips, special events. We also have an early childhood advisory council that was established in November of 2020, and parent-teacher conferences every fall and spring.
As you know, this past February, Garden State Academy proudly partnered with Egg Harbor Township to help bring the preschool expansion grant to the district. This partnership has allowed the district to reach more students, and we look forward to helping EHT grow their program.
This is our Galloway location, and we're showing you this because for the last 3 years we have established the preschool expansion grant with Galloway Township. So you'll see we have 2 in Galloway, Moss Mill Road, New York Avenue, and additionally we have, these are some samples of our grant classrooms. You'll see they're set up according to creative curriculum and ECHRS. These are some of the requirements with the preschool expansion grant. We take pride in keeping our classrooms clean and really a first-class experience for the students that we service.
And here you can see a picture of our Egg Harbor Township location. We settled right in.
We've established many, bless you. We've established many relationships within the community. We've had so many wonderful students and families at our Egg Harbor Township location. Both mascots, the Eagle and Albert, our GSA mascot, have made their way around. We've had so many great hands-on learning experiences, gross motor activities. Our students really have benefited from the differentiated instruction that we offer, as you can see in some of these pictures.
And we really encourage them to be lifelong learners and think outside of the box, and our teachers create authentic lessons for them. So here's some pictures of our outdoor space at some of our locations. So at Garden State Academy, we value the outdoors and all it has to offer. Teachers are encouraged to utilize our outdoor space as much as possible to provide students with ample opportunities for exploration, open-ended play, and authentic learning opportunities. Our outdoor classroom consists of art, gross motor, science, literacy, gardening, Anything you want to do outside, we do. And some pictures of our garden. In alignment with our health and wellness program, children get to become active participants in the entire process of gardening from seeds to table. They work cooperatively to nurture, harvest, and make special snacks with the fruits and vegetables they get from the garden. All of this is what you can expect at our EHT location, to include a mud kitchen, composting, and our outdoor art area.
As you see, that is the actual outside of our Egg Harbor Township location. This is the mud kitchen that we will have in the future. The children love that.
Lots of fun, mess and fun.
Linda and I have also had ample opportunities to professionally present in the community. In the last 8 years, I've also taught at Stockton University, as well as we've both presented at the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics, Early Childhood, and Stockton University speaker series, Letting Go and Trusting the Young Child.
In addition, we've also hosted many workshops for teachers and districts that participate in the preschool expansion grant to promote best practice in early childhood education. So I'm not used to this.
We have so many wonderful traditions for our students. We do truly enjoy celebrating them, some of which are the graduations or various ceremonies. St. Jude Bike-a-thon, pancake breakfast. This is all pre-COVID, obviously, when we would have that involvement. Backyard family concerts. Our community partnerships are really also very important to us. As you can see here, we have the Galloway Township Police Department, and they were all hands on deck putting together our garden boxes for the students to start their gardening. And Garden State Academy is proud to sponsor teams in the community. Garden State Academy is a premier preschool in which students experience a cross-curricular education, which includes the arts at the heart of our program. Our parents, teachers, and students all work together to reach one goal: educate the minds of the future. Our school is thought of as a home away from home for children to learn and grow. Our warm atmosphere is welcoming to children as they engage in a friendly space. Research and experience address the need for young children to engage in best practice that differentiate instruction and are developmentally appropriate. This means that as teachers, we need to observe how the child learns best and then create a learning environment that meets his or her needs. We support the child by asking open-ended questions that prompt higher-level thinking.
A network of communication exists between children, parents, and teachers at Garden State Academy. These three units work together to create a spirit of cooperation, collaboration, and co-construction of knowledge, working towards a common purpose to provide each child an opportunity to engage in new experiences within a logical and meaningful context. The teaching staff at Garden State Academy are keen observers, documenters, and partners in the learning process. This allows children to ask their own questions and generate and test their own hypotheses. Children also have the opportunity to explore and generate many possibilities, communicate their ideas to others, and revisit the opportunity to organize their concepts, ideas, and thoughts to construct new meaning.
Early childhood education is the key to the betterment of society, and that quote is by Maria Montessori, who has greatly influenced our mission and our vision at Garden State Academy. We thank you for your time this evening. This is our address and our contact phone number and our website if anyone should have any questions. Thank you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Linda. Great presentation. Excellent program. We appreciate your efforts and for you sharing your childhood education experiences and facilities with us. Any questions?
Go ahead, Ms. Gilberforth.
I just wanted to say that I think this is my first time meeting you, or the energy that you both bring is, you can see it and feel it. And I really was inspired by your presentation and excited for the children of Egg Harbor Township and the parents to have a full-day preschool program that is, to me, looks like I said, I haven't been to the facility yet, but when you said about raising the bar for early child education, it's clear to me that that is happening for the preschool students in Egg Harbor Township. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
It's been our passion and our mission.
Your passion, it comes through.
Oh, thank
Yep.
you.
Yes.
Comment? Hi, I'm Mr. Price,
Hi.
and I had the opportunity to come out along with a few of the other board members to tour the facility, and I was very impressed with what I did see, and it's a great location, and I'm excited to have something like this in our town, and we're able to partner up with you for the good of the students. So I appreciate your hard work, and it was an excellent presentation tonight. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Okay, Mr. Castellano, that concludes the superintendent's report.
Very good, and I'll just echo the thank you as well to both of you. We're just so excited that this year we implemented full-day kindergarten, we implemented universal preschool. I mean, what a giant leap forward to add basically the full dimension of early childhood education, to Egg Harbor Township Schools. So we're just thrilled that we were able to get that done this year. So thank you guys again. And at this time, we are going to move into our finance and operations. Don't feel obligated. You guys don't have to hang around for the business. You don't want to.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
I know it's a whole lot of fun and very interesting, but we're going to go to our finance and operations, and I'm going to ask for our committee report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. I would like to report that myself, Mr. Price, Chair, Ms. Sullivan, Ms. Alaji, Ms. Anaya, Tom Beck, Director of Food Services, attended our last meeting on June 8th. We discussed food service. We discussed the fiscally stable time period from January to June, and the board will not be required to make any contributions to food services this year. And I think that's a very good thing. Staffing, Mr. Beck reported that his overall staff is in good spirits, but they are tired and ready to end the year, and there's reported 5 or 6 vacancies. 2021-2022 meals will be free for all students again next year, and Mr. Beck shared his training schedule and items for next year. Transportation, recruitment within 11 paras, custodians, and cafeteria workers are interested. We're implementing a new program to try to get some of the existing employees driving some buses. So that's just to bring you up to date on that if you weren't following before. Salary adjustments and longevities for bus aides are on the agenda. Facilities, there was a presentation which will be to the board on the 29th, but we discussed things that are going to be presented. The flagpole process, the flagpole here at the middle school was stuck in a raised position. We had some complaints that the flag was flying at night, so it was determined it was stuck and was not lit because we didn't have a way to get the flag down until the bucket truck arrived and was registered. It has since been lowered, and all schools are following proper flag protocols. It's also been brought to my attention that all the flags have been replaced around the district at the same time, so that was good. We took care of that. So flags are good at all facilities. Project updates, Mr. Brunetta will be presenting on the 29th materials that are going to be difficult to get this summer due to the COVID-19. We talked about the signs around the schools. I know I've talked about this a few times. Drug-free, weapon-free school zones. Happy to report that Chief Steinman was able to provide maps of the areas, and that signs will be to have that should have signs. He mapped out the areas that should have signs, and we'll be meeting with Public Works prior to installing signs for the best placement, which is important. And we will follow up in August to make sure that all the signs are up prior to September. So I'm glad that we made progress on that as well. Business office, student activities, redistribution and spending. We will be using these funds by June 30th to reduce the tracking and new requirements of GASB 84. Grant updates, the CARES and the ESSER 1, 2, and 3. The committee discussed the amounts of each of the COVID-related funds and the plans, and we'll discuss these on 6/22. So this is something that we'll probably follow up on in a little while. These plans need to be submitted to the state by 6/24, so we're right on that. Once the plan is approved, the $9.5 million spending will be discussed with the board and will be submitted to the state by 11/24/21. Recreation improvements submitted the grant to install playing fields at the high school and will be issued this month. As of 6/18, no awards have been made. So what I'm saying is we submitted a grant to accomplish those things that I just mentioned, installing playing fields at the high school, and hopefully we'll get that grant. But we're in the running, so hopefully Ms. Anea will have good news on that soon to follow. Workforce development, PACE awarded $300,000 to implement an apprenticeship program by August 1st. More information to follow on that as well. Allocations for IDEA and the ESSA allocations were made, and we will request board action on the June 29th meeting. So we have a lot of things to do on the June 29th meeting, as you can hear. And remember, if you miss something here, go to your Google Drive. It's all in here, so you can see it at any time at your leisure. That's the miracle and the greatness of Google and Google Drive. It's all in there now. Action items on Tuesday, June 22nd and June 29th. Routine monthly items, annual renewals, bid awards, HVAC, plumbing, doors, special ed service providers, asset disposal. Prom 22 was discussed. Other items, personnel items will no longer be discussed in this committee. In the past, we've discussed department vacancies, leads, and recruitment efforts, but Dr. Charlton will now be covering these items during Personnel Committee of the Whole. Then we talked about basically the norms of the finance and operations. We discussed about confidentiality. Items discussed until the full board report at this work session is important that we maintain the confidentiality until tonight. So that's my report. If anybody has any questions, otherwise I'd like to hand it over to Ms. Anea. Thank you.
I have nothing to add, Mr. Price. That was a great job. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments, board members? Okay, we have to take action on a couple of things tonight. We normally don't, but because of the calendar and when graduation was, we're going to need to take some action. We haven't met for a while. So I'm going to look for a motion on 5.2 through 5.34.
Motion.
Second. Any discussion on those items? Okay, seeing none, may we have roll call, please?
Ms. Alabardo?
Yes.
Mr. Delabarka?
Yes.
Mr. Ireland?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mrs. Solagi?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilbert Floyd?
Yes.
And Mr. Costello?
Yes. Okay, now we're going to move to curriculum, and I'll ask for our curriculum committee report.
Good evening. On June 8th, 2021, the Curriculum Committee met through Google Meet beginning at 5 p.m. And in attendance was Mr. Delabarka, Mrs. Bird, Ms. Moss, as well as myself. The agenda items we reviewed were the proposal for professional development on the science of reading for all K-5 ELE teachers, as well as intervention teachers K-8. We also reviewed upcoming field trips, professional development for staff, the textbook list for district and summer curriculum writing hours. Discussion items included learning acceleration and all summer programs enrollment, curriculum, and staffing. A proposed partnership with Rowan and Peer for equity professional development and audit was also discussed, with hopes to bring them to the table as an approved vendor. Other discussion topics included senior student recognition, summer work in the areas of math and ELA, and improving field trips for sports teams, championships at the beginning of each season. Full board discussion around possible board presentations around the science of reading through letters was also discussed. Ms. Moss, do you have anything else to add?
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments? Okay, we have to take action here as well. 6.2 through 6.4. May I have a motion, please?
So made.
Second.
Very popular tonight, huh? Okay. Okay, any discussion on those items? Seeing none, can we have roll call, please?
Ms. Alabardo?
Yes.
Mr. Delabarka?
Yes.
Mr. Ireland?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mrs. Solagi? Mrs. Gilbert Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Castellano?
Yes. Okay, we're going to move to personnel, and I'm going to ask Dr. Charlton if there's anything for public session.
I do not, other than the wonderful fact that we have actually appointees in the room tonight that Dr. Richer is going to be interviewing. Excuse me, announcing. You already were interviewed.
Yeah, I think you're good. Okay. Any questions or comments for public session? So I'm going to ask first for first we'll do the appointing. Can I have a motion for 7.2 through 7.8, please?
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Ms. Alabardo?
Yes.
Mr. Delabarka?
Yes.
Mr. Ireland?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mrs. Solagi?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilbert Floyd?
Yes.
And Mr. Castellano?
Yes. Okay, the interview went very well for you. Dr. Gruccio.
Threw him a curveball there, but good, good luck. Congratulations to the following, as I announce their presence for the very first time in the Egg Harbor Township School District. Math teacher at Alder Avenue Middle School, Ms. Hallie DeBrill. Congratulations and welcome. Gabby Priestley, Spanish teacher at Alder Avenue Middle School. And Jennifer Oliver, science teacher at the high school. Welcome and good luck again.
Very good. Welcome, guys. And you of course, you're welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting, but you don't have to. We are going to move on now to policy, and I believe that Mr. Santilli is going to deliver our committee report this week.
All right, so we're going to pinch hit here. So on Tuesday, June 8th, members of the policy committee met virtually to discuss policy agenda items. Present at the meeting were Pete Castellano, Christy Bird, Patrick Ireland, myself, Chandra Anaya, Dr. Terry Charlton, and Amy Halkalko. The following policies and discussions occurred at the meeting on June 8th. New business consisted of mandated Strauss SMA updates with the following policies and Board of Education approved regulations requiring mandatory revisions as follows. First, we had policy 1620, administrative employment contracts, regulation 1642, earned sick leave, policy 1643, family leave, which will require 2 readings as it's new, policy 4125, employment of support staff members, policy and regulation 5330.5, seizure action plan, again it's new, requires 2 readings, policy 6440, cooperative purchasing, policy and regulation 6470.01, electronic funds transfer, and claimant certification, again new, requires 2 readings, policy and regulation 7425, lead testing of water in schools, also new and requiring 2 readings, policy 7450, property inventory, policy 8561, procurement procedures for school nutrition programs, and policy 7510, use of school facilities. Additional new business consisted of policies that are being recommended for abolishment due to mandatory revisions. Policy 1649, for Federal Families First Coronavirus Response Act, Policy 3431.1, Teaching Staff Family Leave, and Policy 4431.1, Support Staff Family Leave. Under Outstanding Business, Policy 7231 for crowdfunding was reviewed and discussed by the committee. Due to the extent of the revisions, the policy is being presented for its first reading and approval on June 29th. Additionally, Policy 7510 for the use of school facilities was discussed, not just for the mandatory revisions, but also, as mentioned previously, but further information will be provided to the committee as requested at an upcoming committee meeting. The policy for class rank at the recommendation of a board member may be considered for discussion also at a future policy committee meeting. And that concludes my report. As you can see, it was a busy night. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Santilli. Any questions or comments? Mr. Ireland first, Ms. Sullivan.
So for policy 7510, use of facilities, school facilities, instead of having a single reading now, since there's significant discussion that's going to happen, should we just hold off on the first reading so that we can discuss further in the policy committee like the note said?
Amy, I certainly would defer to you. My suggestion would be to go ahead and approve the policy, only because the mandated changes would allow us to put in effect those changes. And then, of course, it can come back to the committee for further discussion or review. And then, of course, depending upon the flavor of the committee and what's presented to the board, if there's any significant changes, then, of course, then that would be brought before the board again.
That would be my legal suggestion. I think the mandated changes are important, but I think it's also important to note that this policy will be brought up at the next policy committee meeting, because there was further information that the policy committee asked the administration to look into regarding use of facilities. So good point, but yes, I think you should still approve it tonight.
Thank you.
Mrs. Sullivan.
I requested that this policy be reviewed. I don't know whether you discussed the township being moved up to a group 1 approval for use of facilities or not. I really wish our facilities were easily and readily used by the township without significant cost to them. I know we give them a $10,000 credit right now, which they haven't used to the fullest, but just to have them classified as a group 3, I just don't think it's appropriate. I think they should be either a group 1 or a group 2 and have no charge for the facilities.
Okay, any other comments on policy? Okay, we're not taking action on policy this evening. That will be for next week. We have a couple items on new business. For next week, we'll be looking to pass a resolution requesting relief and reexamination of Chapter 44. Then 9.2 for board members. 9.2 on your agenda, that reflects our updated norms that we developed at our offsite. So I want to see if everyone is okay with moving forward with those as our new norms in place of what we've had in the past. Is there any need for further revision, or are we okay? Mr. Del Barca?
I do have a problem with the wording on, I think I understand the whole reasoning behind it, but to say keep your seat just doesn't seem to go over. What does that mean? You know, keep your seat. Does it mean stay in your seat? Maintain your seat? I just thought, I don't know how much we discussed it off site, but it just seems awkward.
That's the old norms.
Oh.
The new ones say management objectives.
Okay, I apologize and thank you.
So yeah, so we would be, kind of leaving the old norms behind, moving to the new ones, based on our work at the offsite, if everyone's good with that. So that's what I'm kind of looking for, to see the nodding heads. We'll And so we'll have that for action next week. We'll adopt 9.2. Yes, everyone good with that? Okay. All right. Two additional items of new business. The first will be, I'll take them one at a time. First will be 9.3. You can read, that's ratification of PSA Memorandum of Agreement 2021 through 2024. May I have a motion on that?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Alabarda?
Yes.
Mr. Delabarka?
Yes.
Mr. Ireland?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Abstain?
Mrs. Solagi?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilbert Floyd? You can vote.
Okay. Yes.
Mr. Castellano?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we are going to add a new item, 9.4, personnel matter, and I'm going to let Ms. Hauk read that motion.
I would ask the board to entertain a motion to approve the 3 employee agreements as discussed in executive session.
Ms. Hauk Elko. May I have a motion, please?
Motion?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
To capture the motion, it was to approve 3 employee agreements based on executive session, based on discussion in executive session.
The motion was to approve 3 employee agreements as discussed in executive
Thank
session.
And we have a
Okay.
motion and a second. Got that. Thank you.
Any discussion? Okay, seeing none. Not used to being up here without a mask. It's easier to see, it's easier to talk, it's easier to hear, everything. Okay, may I have roll call, please?
Ms. Alabarda?
Yes.
Mr. Delabarka?
Yes.
Mr. Ireland?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
No, due to the reasons as discussed in executive session.
Thank you. Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mrs. Solagi?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilbert Floyd?
Yes.
And Mr. Castellano?
Yes. Okay. We don't have any items under new business. There is no HIB. That will be next week. Moving into communications, we have a new board calendar as always, and I'll turn to Mr. Delabarka to give us the latest and greatest from New Jersey school boards and Atlantic County school boards.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, everyone. Good evening. The county officers are meeting with New Jersey School Board Association on July 7th to plan our meetings for the fall and for next year. So that good news will be coming forth after that meeting on July 7th. We are in a discussion right now. Many of you know New Jersey School Board's Director of Field Services, Jane Kushner. Jane is retiring, announced her retirement as of September 1st. And those of us in Atlantic County who've known her for many years are going to try to have a luncheon on July 14th for her. And that is open to all board members in Atlantic County, not just the presidents. It's open to any board member who's interested. And try to get back to me sometime soon if you're interested in attending so that we can make detailed plans as to location and timing and so forth. Reminder to all of our board members that our Atlantic County 8th grade dialogue this year has been videoed. It's actually in 3 parts. If you go to the School Board Association website, you can go to see all 3 videos from Atlantic County. We had many of our students talk and discuss, and they explained how they survived the pandemic. It's really very interesting to hear from the 8th graders. So if you're interested, go on any time, and you can see, actually you can go through the whole state and see all the 8 counties, I believe, that participated and see the kids. And they really were quite articulate, and it's interesting to see how they dealt with the pandemic and going to school virtually. As you all know on the board, the school board's workshop is being planned for October 26th to 28th. It will be virtual again this year, and Miss Anaya will be making the registration for us and take care of us, all of us. And when we get close to that time, I know if you get your school board notices, like all of us do every day, they remind us constantly about the workshop. Also, they have registration for all their virtual programs that's online all the time, and there's quite a few programs that they present that are appropriate for all of us. So if you have time to go online, pick out a good program, they'll get credit for it towards your different amounts of degrees that you get. And they're quite educational and detailed. And that's all for now. Thank you, Mr. President.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Delabarca. Ms. Gilbert, you had something.
It's not I don't know if it's appropriate for me to ask a question. The policy already went, but I had a question about something to think about when you report.
Sure.
Okay. So, when Mrs. Sullivan, when you asked about having the township committee being a class 1 or a class 2, I guess my question, and forgive my ignorance, I'm not sure, so far as the Carver Township School District, when we, if we were in the need or the use of township facilities, how does that work? Are we just call over and say, hey, we want to use the rec center, or hey, we need to use the amphitheater, or hey, we need to use Barkertown Park? What's the relationship that the township has with the school district when it comes to use of the township facilities?
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're not going to really do a Q&A, but we'll go ahead, one more comment, and then we'll move
That was
on.
just my comment. So if I could find that information out, I think that would be,
Go
to
ahead.
have the information just to make a decision based on where the township is placed as far as whether it's a tier class 1, 2, or 3. I just think I just need to know some background information on that whenever that information is available. You know, that's all.
Well, and I know one thing that we do, Eagle Academy uses their facilities for their phys ed classes, and there's no charge. That's one I'm familiar with.
Mr. President, comment, please?
Yes.
While we're talking about this, I know I've talked about it a few other times before, but I want to see the facilities, meaning outside, more accessible to all of the public. When they come onto our grounds, and I see it quite often, I want to make sure that they're here legally, because from what I understand, they're not supposed to be here right now. And I want to get clarification on what the policy committee is going to do to rectify that and remedy the problem that will welcome our residents to come onto the grounds after hours, to maybe throw a frisbee around, or whatever the case may be. And I think that we need to pursue that a little bit further and get more clarity on it, if that is possible.
We've talked about that quite a bit, and we'll continue to discuss, and I'm going to let Ms. Halkelko just chime in just a little bit.
Just to briefly kind of circle back, so as Mr. Santilli said, the policy committee did task the administration to look up certain data, information, use of outdoor facilities. I think the committee clearly heard the board's concerns, what the board would like to see, so they're gathering more information so the policy committee can make whatever recommendation they want to make after they get that information. And then I'm assuming from there, the next step would be to present to the board at a work session like we're doing now, and then from there you move forward and have a board discussion on it. So it is in the works, we are moving forward, and we are listening, the policy committee is listening to the other board members' concerns.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to move to public comment, then there'll be board member comment. And we have one more action item following that, which will be to approve the ESSR 3 American Recovery Plan that we were briefed on earlier. So what we'll do now is we'll go to public comment. Public comment is 3 minutes. We'll ask folks to give their name and address for the record. As you know, most of you know, we can't discuss personnel or litigation, confidential matters. And it may be that a question will come to us that will be complicated, and we'll have to have someone get back to you with the answer. So I know we're still using our phone system, but we'll start here in the room first, and then we'll go to our phones.
Hello, everybody. Thank you. Debbie Rockelman, 189 Alder Avenue, EHT. I have a couple of things. The protocol for COVID. I was in this building subbing one day and got home to get a call from my son, who tested positive, and everybody else in his house did. And I had been there over the course of 3 days quite frequently. I called Kelly Solutions, told them I had a job scheduled for the next day. Said, yeah, I'm sure you don't want me in there. I'm vaccinated and whatever, but I don't know if I can carry it, or, you know. I left a message with the girl, you know, could you have the principal call me, or the nurse call me, or somebody call me to tell me what I need to do or what I don't need to do. I did not get a return phone call from anybody. I called the board administration office and left a lengthy message and did not get a call back from anybody. So if that's how serious we take this, I'm kind of concerned. So I took it upon myself. I just didn't work for the rest of the year because I take it seriously. I don't know all the ins and outs. I'm vaccinated, but can I still carry it? Whatever. Well, I didn't want to come back into a classroom. So 2 places I called, 2 places never called me back over a matter that has, like, it is extremely important, and it's crippled us for a year and a half. So having said that, the next thing I'd like to say is regarding, I think you were talking about policy, Lou, or, okay, that it might be revisited. Someone brought it up, the valedictorian, all that stuff, class ranking. Well, it might be revisited. It should be revisited, my opinion, because Dr. Gruccio did mention we have a fabulous graduation ceremony, you know, second to probably none in the state of New Jersey. And I think we're penalizing, even I was here when Samantha Elko did the presentation of how close all the, still, why take that away from the kids? Your girls were, you know. Why take that away? Because of somebody else is doing it. Mainland High School's doing it. Or so. Let's do what works for us, not everybody else, because not what everybody else is doing is always right. That's just my humble opinion on that. I think it should be revisited. I think it should be discussed. And I would like to see it changed back, because you have a beautiful ceremony. What's more wonderful than having the top of your class stand there and give a fabulous speech to the, you know? So I think that we spend a lot of time looking at younger grades, what we can do for them, how we can lift them up, what we can teach them, and so forth and so on. Yeah, well, that's all well and good, but as we keep moving up, you know, we're taking away from our older students. So that is all I had to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I apologize that no one got back to you. I have no idea when you called, who you called. Someone should be getting back to you, and someone will get back to you in regard to the health concerns. You know, over onto this class rank. This seems to come up time. It's I don't believe it's you know, a real issue. We're not taking anything away from anyone. We're going to increase the stature and the standing of our graduation. We're going to make it even better. We're following best practices, and that will not go into effect until not this coming school year, but the following. And we're going to have no. We're I'm answering now. And so what we're going to do is our administration will be rolling out regulations to implement that policy on how we're going to following best practices. And I'm going to ask if Dr. Gruccio has a little bit more to add. I'm sorry, we're not, you know, we're just not going to do a yelling back and forth. You can come back up if you'd like, and be
Well, I'm
happy,
sure
we
my
can
3
do
minutes
another
was
3
over.
minutes, but we're not, no, you can't, we're not gonna go
Okay.
back and forth.
That's fine.
Mr. Castellano, you pretty much covered it. Along with that policy, needs to be regulations that need to spell out what the future is going to look like. So we are working on that, and that they will be in effect soon.
Can you, Mr. Castellano, could you explain to me exactly what best practices means?
So, best would be the best practices, as opposed to not as good.
Where do the standard where does the standard for a best practice come from?
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to be having our administration roll out regulations to implement the, and we will keep you informed on it.
Based on best practices?
Yes.
But you didn't answer my question as far as what is best practices?
Equity.
Do you-
So best,
Do you take,
rather than only have a few, we want to recognize more students. We want to have honors, high honors and highest honors, or cum laude, magna cum laude, summa cum laude, so that we recognize and celebrate the accomplishment of
but
more
not
students.
valedictorian or a-
More students, well, that doesn't necessarily preclude that, but we want to recognize and celebrate more students. So we want to make our graduation even better. We want to celebrate our class even better, and that's best practice.
Absolutely.
That's
Okay.
best practice.
Thank you.
Anyone else before we go to the phones?
Hi, everyone. Donna Freund, 303 Dorchester Drive, EHT. On behalf of the EHT PSA, I just want to say thank you to the board for approving our agreement. Okay? Thanks.
You're very welcome. Okay, anyone else here live before we go to the phones? Okay, Miss Anaya, let's roll that phone footage. Roll that beautiful bean footage. Let's go to the phones.
It's now up, so we'll give it 30 seconds or so.
Okay. I guess folks are tired of calling in on those phone lines. Or maybe we're just boring tonight, I don't know. So do we have any comments from board members?
Is this the time to comment from board members? Oh,
Yes, it is.
wow, we're moving right along here. Well, I would just like to comment that we all attended the high school graduation last week, and it was a great graduation. And I really enjoyed it. I think it was well put together. The weather was superb. I can't think of a better day to have a graduation, so I appreciate the hard work of the staff, the administration, and the teachers, and the security, facilities, everybody. I mean, it was just an incredible event, and I think it was a very special event because we didn't have one like it last year. So I couldn't let that go unsaid, and I just wanted to comment that tonight. And again, I really appreciate it, and I'm sure others will comment on it as well, because it was a great day. So that's my comments. Thank you.
Any other board members? Mrs. Slug.
I want to go back to the class rank. I don't think it was brought up because it was election time. It was brought up because of graduation just happening and students coming back in September and making it a goal. It was taken away with the students' no input. We saw the input that came at the audience, and they weren't exactly in favor of it happening. So election does not have anything to do with it. But speaking of election, Mrs. Zelko, we are 5 years now where we have moved our election to November. It's become very political, and the taxpayers have no say in the budget, which was taken away from them. What would the procedure be to move the election back to April, since our 5 years have moved forward?
I can look that up for you and have it prepared for the next meeting at my attorney's report and give you that information. There is a specific procedure, and I don't want to misquote, say inaccurate information because it is specific and there's timelines and deadlines.
Okay. Well, I just feel because it's 5 years are up and we should explore it because of those 2 reasons that I just stated.
Ms. Guilfoyle?
I just want to make sure I'm clear on what you asked. Are you asking about the Board of Education election? The board members having a separate election in April versus having it the same time as November, the other, where everything else is. So what difference do you think will make a difference in what?
We changed the election from April to November, knowing that it would probably become political. It has become political, and it also takes the public say out of the budget. So now that the 5 years are up, I would like to explore what the procedure is to move the election back to April, get the politics out of it, and also give the taxpayers a say in the budget and their taxes.
Oh, okay. I just think that this is just my opinion. I just think that having an election in November, it seems like more people come out when there's that election, and you get more people tend to come out more. Remember, oh yeah, have to vote. So I don't necessarily know if that having it in April would maybe it'll be less people coming out for it. Just my opinion. And I think that anytime I was going to say it, our township, any other township, municipality, politics is not supposed to be a part of it at all. But I think that's something that I don't think the time in which you have it is going to make a difference with politics being involved, even though it shouldn't be. I think people are going to have their political views, and sometimes they spill over. That's just my opinion. That's all.
Other board members? So, I mean, it was said that we took something away from students with class rank. Nothing was taken away. We're giving more. We're going to be recognizing more students of 2,500 or so kids in the high school. exactly one came out speaking against it. The overwhelming response has been favorable. You know, I understand the point about a budget, but again, when you have a much larger turnout at a fall election, we have what is known as a representative democracy. We're elected, and people can elect us or not elect us, and we're held responsible. So that's how that's done at every other level of government. They hold their representatives responsible. Sure.
We had one student come out because the students didn't know anything about it. And
I think
if
they
I
all knew
recall,
about it.
There was somebody that came out, in fact, it was a spouse of a board member that came out and was going to speak on behalf of taking it away, but after they heard the conversations back and forth, they agreed that it shouldn't be taking place. So the fact that many students didn't come out, they didn't know about it, but they knew about it now and they don't agree with it. And that's why I'm asking for the policy committee to do something about it.
I'm not aware of any students that...
Well, Mr. Castellano, your daughter was valedictorian of her class, and I'm sure it made her very proud, and I'm sure she worked very hard towards that. And that is something that the valedictorian at the graduation last week said. He made that a goal when he was in 6th grade, and he accomplished that goal. But many kids feel that way also. And just because other districts have taken it away, we don't need to follow them. We're a large district. Do what Egg Harbor Township does. Let's not do what other districts do.
I think we need to follow best practice. I really don't appreciate having my daughter brought up. I can tell you, my daughter's position was that she would much rather see more students recognized through the honors, high honors, and highest honors system. She would have been very, very happy to see that happen. She was in favor. She knew all about our change in class rank and was in favor of it, of our class rank change.
I know Mr. hand is up, and I'm not gonna, your hand is up. I'm just gonna say, I definitely think that we should leave each other's children, spouses out of it. That's kind of like a don't touch kind of subject.
Do we have any further board member comment? And then we're going to go to 14.1. Mr. Ireland.
Mr. Castellano, maybe for the election question, maybe we could bring that up in the legislative meeting that we have with the New Jersey School Boards Association, and then we could get a more concrete answer with the statutory requirements that way, along with our board attorney. But maybe we can just ask that question and get a better answer, or get a answer for our next meeting, the next time we have a legislative meeting. I think that would be it, but most likely it's because of cost, because you have to bring people in to poll workers and everything. But it would be a good question to ask for our legislative committee. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. We have public comment. We've ended public comment. Do we have anything from administration? So we're now going to look for a motion on 14.1.
Motion.
Second. Any discussion on 14.1? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Alabardo?
Yes.
Mr. Delabarka?
Yes.
Mr. Ireland?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
Yes.
Mrs. Solagi?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilbert Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Castellano?
Yes. Okay. We are finished with our business for our work meeting. We will see you all next Tuesday night for our June business meeting, where we'll continue the business of getting ready for summer and next school year. And with that, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned.